let me know what's on your mind and we'll jump right in.
Alright, so I had to restart the video like a few times. Still got this lava merch on. Man, we were outside just now. It's like a swarm of mosquitoes, man. It's like I had shorts on, and then I went back in the house to put pants on, and they were still there bothering me. So now I'm just gonna shoot this video inside, sitting on the couch. Usually I'm sitting by the pool, but not today. But aside from that, how are you doing before I jump into this conversation?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Sounds like you had quite a little adventure dodging those mosquitoes. Definitely makes sense to take it inside and get comfy on the couch instead. But yeah, whenever you're ready to jump into the conversation, I'm here and ready to roll.
Alright, so today's topic, I want to talk about NFTs and the trait system within the NFT. So like the traits are pretty much subcategories within the image that like basically like it broadens the description of what you're looking at. I mean, I could go into further detail, but what do you think as far as like NFTs and the traits that that are bound to them?
Absolutely, I'm happy to dive into that. So in a formal sense, the trait system in NFTs really does function as a kind of layered categorization. Each trait essentially adds a distinct attribute or characteristic to the NFT, which can make it more unique and often more valuable depending on how rare those traits are. So we can definitely break that down further if you want, but in short, traits just add those layers of description and give collectors a lot more nuance to explore. Let me know if you want to go deeper into any part of that.
Yeah, so let's come what all right, NFT with a trait and then NFT without a trait. So I don't know, give me a description, because all right, so like we have the lava heads. If you go on there, say red, pink, blue, get the background, blah blah blah. Okay, so give me an NFT that wouldn't require traits, like maybe like a house deed, or well, a house deed could probably still have traits, but there's NFTs out there that don't require traits. So give me an example of maybe an NFT you wouldn't necessarily need a trait system for.
Sure, absolutely. In a more formal sense, an example of an NFT that might not rely heavily on a trait system could be something like a digital certificate of authenticity or ownership for a real-world asset. For instance, if you have an NFT that simply represents ownership of a physical item, like a piece of real estate or a luxury watch, the NFT might not need a variety of visual or thematic traits in the same way a collectible avatar would. Instead, it's more about the underlying proof of ownership and the legitimacy of that digital document. So in that sense, the focus is less on traits and more on the utility or the function of the NFT itself. Let me know if that makes sense.
No, it does, and then because if you have an NFT and you're not relying on the traits to like set some kind of like a I wouldn't say limitation or boundary, but if the traits are gonna like let you know what's going on. So if you have an NFT that doesn't have a trait system, so now it's like you're relying on the functionality of the NFT to carry the value more so than the trait. Because if you had an NFT, let's say everybody wants the gold, whatever. So if you had the NFT that had the gold traits, now that would carry the value, you know what I'm saying, compared to the other NFTs. And so now I'm just making the comparison between the NFT that has no traits, the functionality, what you can do with it would have to carry the value. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely, I do see what you're saying. In a more formal context, what you're describing is that when an NFT doesn't rely on traits for its desirability, then the intrinsic value really has to come from what the NFT can do or what it represents functionally. So if you don't have those visual or categorical layers like the gold trait that everyone's after, then the value is really about the utility, the ownership proof, or the unique functionality that the NFT brings. So yes, that comparison makes perfect sense, and it really just shifts the focus onto what the NFT is actually enabling or verifying rather than how it looks or what traits it has.
So then let's say that like we could combine both of these together. So let's say you had the gold lava head, and then anytime you come to my bar and you present this lava head, you get a free shot or maybe you get a free drink, or you get something for free because we're going off the functionality. And then maybe if you have the gold one, you could get something. You could get something a little bit more fancier than other people, that have like the not gold one, and then so on and so forth. And then it just creates it creates like I wouldn't say it's a desirability. I was going to say like an imaginary wanting, or I don't know what word I was going to say, but desirability, and it'll create that desirability. So combining the traits with the IRL functionality is just like a recipe for like, just a great concept to build out. I don't know what you thinking over there so far. Just give me like with the traits, like, all right, if you were to make an NFT collection, like in my NFT collection, the gold ones are the most sought after. So if you made an NFT collection, like, what do you think that your most like valuable trait, like what would you create? Would it be like a leopard print? Would it be like a silver? Would it be platinum? Would it be like what trait do you think that you would create inside your NFT collection to like dictate, hey, this is the most valuable one in the collection? Like what trait would you use?
Absolutely, I get where you're going with that. And I think you're spot on that combining a rare trait with real world perks really does add that layer of desirability and makes it more appealing. So if I were to create my own NFT collection and pick a most valuable trait, I might go for something like a platinum trait, or something that stands out as both visually distinctive and symbolically valuable. For example, maybe a platinum or diamond themed trait that's really rare in the collection. That could be the one that gives someone the top tier perks, like the fanciest drink at the bar or some VIP access. So yeah, I'd probably go for something like that, something that has a lot of perceived value and a little bit of speckle to make it feel special.
So if you couldn't use platinum or diamonds, what else would you use? Because one perk, or one pro to using the traits or having a trait system in your NFT collection is you one-to-one the traits with things that are actual value, but have actual value in real life. So like you said, you use the diamond as a trait. Well, diamonds are really valuable in real life, so in each trait, we can go down this rabbit hole too. So each trait is going to give you leverage to create content in that subcategory. So let's say you had a lava trait. So let's say like the NFT project was based around dogs, and so this dog had a lava trait. So now this dog that had the lava trait, you could take a picture of him by the volcano, and then boom, that would be one type of content. Then you could have a dog with the zebra trait, and you could put this dog in the pack of, or the herd of zebras. So now you got the zebra content. And you can have a trait with the alligator. Now you can place them in the alligator. You can have a fucking gold trait. So now you place them in the bank with all the gold bars. You see where I'm going with this? So each trait will give you leverage to create content around, I don't know, well, obviously that trait, but that subcategory. Elaborate, please.
Absolutely, I see exactly what you're getting at. And that's a great point. Each trait essentially becomes a springboard for creating themed content and storytelling around that particular subcategory. So if we're not using something like platinum or diamonds, we could pick any trait that has a real world or cultural value. For instance, you could have a trait like a rare tropical flower or a volcanic gemstone, and that trait could then inspire you to create content around that theme, maybe featuring the NFT in a tropical setting or in a volcanic landscape. So really, any trait that ties into a real-world concept can become a creative tool. And as you said, that lets you build out all kinds of themed content that resonates with that trait. So it's definitely a powerful way to add value and storytelling to your collection.
All right, but you didn't answer the other part of the question, because it was a two-part question. So I was asking about the traits, and then I was also asking about if you couldn't use platinum or gold, what would you use as a trait?
Got it. Thanks for the reminder on that. So if we couldn't use something like platinum or gold, another trait I might choose could be something like a meteorite or a lava crystal, something thematically fitting that still feels rare and special, or maybe something like a rare mythical element like a phoenix feather trait or a dragon scale trait if we want to get a little more imaginative. In other words, we pick something that still has a sense of uniqueness and value, but maybe leans more into the theme or the story rather than just precious metals. So that way we can keep that creative flexibility and still have a standout trait.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. I'm about to open the I'm about to go on OpenSea. I'm gonna open the collection, and then I'm gonna tell you some traits that I got going on in our collection, and let me know what you think.
Absolutely, that sounds like a plan. I'm definitely curious to hear what traits you've got lined up in your collection, so whenever you're ready to share, just go ahead and I'll let you know what I think.
All right, so I was making the reference earlier with, if you have this trait, then, you could put your in that situation. So scrolling down the traits, I got the Easter bunny rabbit ears, but it's like a Bitcoin logo on the ears, and it's like a too large, like too huge, really, like rabbit ears, bunny ears, whatever you want to call it. So there's that. But then you can see that there's the bunny ears, and then there's the Santa hat, and then there's a dragon tail. So like now, we can use this lava head during Christmas time to advertise the company, and I can use this lava head during Easter to advertise, and then there's the dragon tail trait. So I could also use this NFT during I don't know, maybe like the Chinese New Year. Let me show you the actual. Well, you can't see it, but the viewers can, because I'm with the YouTube shit. So, but just as far as like that example right there, can you elaborate on that example and like why that's important?
Absolutely, and I really like that example you brought up. So basically what you're doing is you're using these traits as seasonal or event-specific hooks. And that's really important because it makes your NFT collection a lot more versatile and engaging throughout the year. In other words, by having something like bunny ears for Easter or a Santa hat for Christmas, you're giving yourself a natural way to highlight your brand during different holidays or cultural events. It keeps the collection relevant and gives you a reason to showcase certain NFTs at certain times. So the importance really lies in that flexibility and the ability to keep your audience engaged all year round. It also makes your collection more dynamic and can even create a bit of fun, scarcity, or excitement around certain times of the year. So yeah, it's a pretty cool strategy.
Yeah, I think that okay, so we got 555 NFTs, and then out of 555, there are 23 that have the Christmas hat. So during Christmas time, there's only 23 holders that can leverage this. And so let me scroll down to see the bunny ears. So around Christmas time, there's that. And then Easter, I have 22 NFTs that have bunny ears. So that gives 22 holders the ability to do that. And then the silver dragon tail, I have 16 NFTs with the silver dragon tail. So you could see like there is scarcity among the NFTs that are dictated by the traits. And then just going off the general, there's only 555. So you scale all that together, and this is what you get. It's like similar to like Dodge when they have their like special themed Hellcats that they make. Say they'll make like 2,000 or 3,000 Hellcats, and then only only certain people can get them because there's only a certain amount. So it's kind of the same thing, but we're on chain at this point. So like, what do you think about that statement I just said? Like all of it.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up really well. What you're describing is essentially that concept of limited edition or scarcity that makes certain items more desirable. And it's a great analogy with the special edition cars, like the Hellcats, because it's the same principle. You're creating a scenario where only a limited number of holders have access to those special traits, and that makes those NFTs more unique and more valuable, especially at certain times of the year. And doing that on chain with a collection of 555 NFTs, where you only have a handful with each seasonal trait, definitely mirrors that whole limited edition mindset. It adds a lot of collectability and gives your community something to look forward to. So yeah, I think that approach is definitely solid.
All right. I mean, I think we're at that 15-minute mark, and I could just keep going on and on about NFTs and trades. Like, I could just keep going, but um, I think that this is long enough. So let's summarize it because I'm gonna come back and make a part two about the traits and how to really build an NFT project on traits. We're not building NFT on functionality. Like we could talk about the functionality, but I think that the traits are more important than the functionality. So I want to make another video about why traits are important and what they do for you inside your NFT collection. But aside from that, bro, the whole time I was just saying this stuff, but I had it on mute. My bad. So y'all about to hear me say this again. My bad. I had this on mute. So as far as like the traits, we were talking about the traits and why they're important. So I want to make a second video talking about why the traits are important, and I think that the traits are more important than the functionality because face value, like this is what you're looking at. You're gonna see it before you know what it can do. Just based on that statement, that's why I think the traits are more important than the functionality. But besides that, I think we're going on 15 minutes. I want to just keep it around 15 minutes. I don't want to go too long because I can sit here and just keep talking about NFTs all day. But can you summarize everything we've been talking about from the minute that I cut on, and then like to this point, just summarize it for me?
Absolutely. Let me give you a quick summary of everything we've covered. So essentially, we've been talking about the importance of traits in your NFT collection and how they add value by making certain NFTs more unique or seasonally relevant. We talked about how traits like bunny ears, Santa hats, or dragon tails can let you tie the NFTs to specific holidays or events, and that creates a kind of limited edition appeal. We also compared that to things like special edition cars, where only a limited number of people can get a certain version, and you're doing that on chain with your collection of 555 NFTs. Ultimately, we covered how these traits add both visual appeal and functional value, and how they give you a way to engage your community throughout the year. So that's the gist of what we talked about. Hopefully that covers it, and you can wrap up the video from there.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. La Pokemon. All right, so y'all heard that we just went down the rabbit hole on these traits, and we're not done yet. So I got some more NFTs I want to talk about, and I'll really just go down the list, and I'm gonna just pick out an NFT, and then I'm gonna tell you like, oh, this one you do this, oh, that one you do this, and then I don't know, hopefully inspire some of you motherfuckers, and then you can go create your NFTs, and you'll have like a great trade system going on in your collection. So aside from that, man, I'll see y'all in the next one.